You're welcome back to Dateline Abuja. I still have here with me the Managing Director of the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, Dr. Samuel Abugu. You're welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, we were talking about investors and the now defunct PHCN. Now, I'd like to know, are there any measures that have been put in place to ensure that new investors are not in any way distracted by the heavy burden of debt from the now defunct power holding company?
Yeah, the government actually had put a very, very elaborate measure. And that measure actually is what NEMCO stands for. What happened was that as part of the transaction process, the government resolved to withdraw all the liabilities. So the investors who are going to come in do not have to be encumbered with huge debts and then litigations. Because as I speak to you, the old PHCN had a lot of legal issues across the land. In fact, NEMCO inherited about almost 4,000 cases that are currently ongoing across the country. Now, you can imagine if these cases were left with the investors. They will not have a way to move on. And the idea is this, that they will be free to concentrate on power supply to Nigerians for the DISCOs and for the GENCOs for power generation. Okay? And the government takes care of this. So government had a very good plan for them, to relieve them of that any encumbrances going forward.
And without these encumbrances, how have investments been going so far?
Since the sale, there have been a monthly forum where the government agencies and the new investors meet to discuss transition issues. I'm aware that there have been some remarkable improvements in infrastructure investments, but these are taking time to turn to power supply to Nigerians. But there have been a lot of issues going there. And besides that, the government has also made some attempts to help the investors access cheap fund. And that's why there have been 2 or 3 international investment forums held in the last 3-4 months to enable the new investors key into soft loans from foreign countries. And these are all meant to give them some comfort.
Right. Recently, you were invited by the ICPC for questioning. Could you share with us what that was all about?
Apparently, ICPC was investigating an issue that was brought to their attention by a company called Ringades. Ringades had entered into a contract with PHCN to use some facilities of PHCN in 2006. These were domiciled in Sapele, the jetty, and the tank farms. And this contract was entered with PHCN, but I think along the line, some issues arose, and the contract was cancelled and given to somebody else, a company called Lupcon. And then Ringades protested and went to court. As I speak to the cases on court right now.
Since 2006?
Yes. And Ringades now made a complaint to ICPC. Now, by 2010, the federal government transferred to NEMCO what we call the non-core assets. Fortunately, these 2 facilities were part of the non-core assets NEMCO inherited. So it was on that basis the ICPC requested that NEMCO should come to do some clarifications on that. And that is, and in fact, the letter that was quoted was correct. It said, come along with the list of leased assets which PHCN had sent to NEMCO's office. And when I got to the venue, I also met BPE, PHCN, NEC was there, NEMCO, Lupcon was there. And then we had interactions, and I just, in fact, I didn't spend even 10 minutes. I gave them the list of the leased assets and the list of the transfer which government gave to me. And I just signed off and I left. So that was really what happened. So when on Tuesday there was a publication that I was being interrogated for illegal sale of land, it beat my imagination as to where that was coming from.
Sometime in the past 2 weeks, the House of Representatives, a motion was brought up on the floor of the House asking that a new agency be created to manage the technical aspects of electricity regulation. That is the technical aspect of what NERC is doing now. This was a motion brought up on the floor of the House, something they are looking at right now. Question is it necessary to create another agency to do technical aspects of regulating the electricity sector, or should NERC, the electricity regulatory company, be further empowered to handle the technicalities?
What we should ask ourselves is this: what are the international best practices when it comes to regulations? I'm sure that members of the House probably could have had 1 or 2 ideas, but I'm aware and out of the fact that in NEC there are several departments in NEC.
Units.
For example, there is the rates department that deals with tariff. There's also a technical department that is under a commissioner that deals with standards and specifications. If it is an issue of expanding the capacity of that particular department,
Unit.
I think it should be done so that you don't unnecessarily create companies and increase government budget and burdens. So for me, I think that what we have on the ground now is sufficient, and that what's needed to be done is to build capacity to enable that particular department deal with standards and specifications. That is what happens across the country, across the world. If you go to those regimes where they have the regulatory agencies in place, that's what happens. For example, even here in Nigeria, look at the NCC. The NCC that deals with deals with the telecom, with more complex electronics matters. Do they have another company to deal with standards? The answer is no. So I think that I wouldn't know, but the members of the House, in their wisdom, probably understands better. But I think that NEC should be allowed to do its regulations, empowered, financed, and give it all the support it needs. And I think they have the capacity to do that.
We will end on that note. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you know you can view the program on youtube.com/channelsweb/videos? You may make your comments after viewing the video and even old episodes of the program. You can also send your comments and views to the address and Twitter handle on your screen. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.